Hey guys, Annette here from Let's Get Growing. Here in Zone 5B, it's almost winter. It's only 5 degrees Celsius outside. So you might be thinking, it's too cold to plant anything or to do any gardening. But you would be wrong. It's perfect time to grow hardy plants, hardy perennials. So today what we're going to be doing is trying a little bit of an experiment. I'm starting to grow more things that are edible. So a lot of the spices and herbs and things that I normally cook with, I'm going to try and grow some of those in raised beds next year. So I thought, hey, instead of buying spices and herbs, why don't I just look at what I already have in my spice rack and try a bit of an experiment and see if any of those will grow. Some of the hardier varieties, if we're lucky, maybe they'll sprout during the winter. I've done some winter sowing in the past and it's worked wonderfully well for hardy plants. So anything that's hardy, in the zone 5, so in the winter they get a nice blanket of snow that helps insulate them, and in the spring you'd be surprised, but you'd actually find some healthy seedlings. So I'm going to show you the process that I use for winter sowing, and what we're going to do is try and plant some of these seeds that I already have, so spices from my kitchen, and see if it works. Because not only then would it be a great way to save money by not having to buy new seeds, but it's a way of growing your own perpetual groceries, so that's exciting. And then what we'll also do is plant or winter sow a couple of perennial flowers. So these are seeds that I got from Renee's. So we're going to be sowing some of this fragrant dianthus and also Angel's Choir Shirley poppies. So let's get going. So some of the supplies that you'll need are handy cat litter containers. These are great for winter sowing. So you might see cat litter, but I see a perfect container for gardening. You'll need some duct tape, box cutters or a pair of scissors, a drill or something else to make some drainage holes at the bottom of your container. You'll need some gravel, some potting mix, gloves, and some of the seeds that I'm going to be trying are cumin, anise, caraway, poppy seeds, and mustard seeds. So the poppy seeds are organic, so presumably they've been handled less or come into contact with less processing than maybe some of the other ones. I have no idea, I'm not an expert, but we'll see if it makes a difference if any of these end up germinating. So here we go. And of course, as with anything, make sure you're labeling what you're planting. So we have our handy plastic tags, our UV resistant marker, and what we'll be doing is, as we're planting, we'll just be wrapping these tags around the handle of the container so we can easily identify what we're planting. So we have our holes drilled in the bottom for drainage. I cut open the top, but not all the way through. You want to make sure that you don't cut this back part here, so that it'll act as a hinge. We remove the label because we want light to be able to penetrate through this. And what's nice is because this is opaque, it's not going to get direct sunlight to the seedlings, so they'll get just enough light that they'll be able to germinate and grow, but not so much that they'll end up roasting, you know, on a warm day. We're going to leave the top open, so you remove the cap, and this is going to allow, you know, rain and snow and just, you know, natural moisture reaching your seedlings and your seeds so that they can actually sprout. So it's almost like a little mini greenhouse. And what we'll do is, for our next step, we're going to add a layer of fine gravel at the bottom. So I have leftover gravel that we used when we laid down our patio. So the flagstones for our patio. So it's just fine gravel. And then on top of that, we'll put a layer of potting soil. So for the spices, I'm sowing these a lot thicker than I normally would, just because we don't know how high the germination rate of this will be, or even if it will germinate. So just to make sure that we give it the highest chance possible, we'll sow it quite thickly. And then what's nice about these little mini DIY greenhouses is that you can just surface level sow the seeds, so just have the seeds rest on top of the soil and lightly press them in, but this way they'll get maximum light penetration for germination. And the little greenhouses, or the lids, once they're taped down, will prevent any of the seeds from blowing away in the wind, and also protects it from, you know, any critters that might want to eat the seeds. Okay guys, so I've planted all of my seeds. I've pressed them really gently into the soil. And when you're doing this, it's similar to raised bed gardening in that you need at least 6 inches of soil to make sure that there's enough nutrition and stuff there for the seeds to actually germinate and send down roots. If you don't have a deep enough container or enough soil, then the roots will travel down and reach the bottom of the container and not have sufficient nutrition. And lastly, I tend to pre-moisten my soil before I plant seeds. The reason for that is once you water you know, if you try and water the seeds from the top instead of from bottom up, you could disperse the seeds. So, but in a case like this, I mean, you could water it from the top because they're not going to go anywhere. They're in a container. But for this, I did pre-moisten it. So now we're going to tape it up and leave them here until next spring. So what are you waiting for? Let's get growing.